This is Ken Carpenter welcoming you to the Bing Crosby Show, transcribed from Hollywood.
Moonlight becomes you. It goes with your hair. You certainly know the right thing to wear. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a song from a country girl that I think you'll like. Philosophical type tune. But nice idea with it, I think. Harold Arlen and Ira Gershwin wrote this song. It's called It's Mine and It's Yours. Hurry, 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 and do away with worry, 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 worry. Sometime or other, brother, everybody gets his back to the wall. But simpletons, noodleheads, you're all. If you don't take advantage of my cure. Here's the silver moon from the sky up there, and the emerald meadow outdoors. What a wealth of treasure there is to share. It's mine, it's yours. If you'd live a dream, oh, how precious is an imagination that soars. It can make the world we're in hers and his and mine and yours. If you want blue skies about, year in, year out, all you'll ever need in the last analysis is this. Try a cheerful song and a valentine and a sense of humor that stars, and you're never in a spin. It's a bright world we're in, and it's mine and yours. Here's a mirror-like lake to go fishing in. Here's the gold at the break of day. Here's a moss-covered well to go wishing in, and stars from the Milky Way. Here's a moonbeam that wants to go peeping in. Here's a lilt that the bluebird shares. Here's a tropical night to go sleeping in. Step up and sample my way. Try a cheerful song and a valentine and a sense of humor that soars, and you're never in a spin. It's a bright world you're in, and it's mine, got to be yours. About 80 years ago, this March 3rd, in fact, exactly 80 years ago, a big Wall Street tycoon had himself a most relaxing day at the office. Telephone didn't ring once. There's a good reason why it didn't, too, because Alexander Graham Bell hadn't invented this instrument yet. But the following year, 1876, Professor Bell cupped his hands over a crude mouthpiece and in full, resonant tones he bellowed, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want you." Mr. Watson, in a nearby room, dropped the receiver and came a-running. Boy, the line's been busy ever since. Many men and women have influenced the morals and manners of human existence, but Scottish-born Alexander Bell's mixed blessing, the telephone, completely remodeled human existence. When I say mixed blessing, I certainly don't want to argue the fact that the telephone is the most vital factor in modern life. Could be called the very cornerstone of our social and economic structure, but why does it have to ring at such unearthly a moment? For instance, at 6:30 a.m. on the coldest day in the year, snugging your downy, grabbing some good kip, when bang, you jump out of bed, and bang, your heel comes down, your bare heel, that is, on the metal part of your garter. You hobble over to the jangling instrument, Pick up the receiver, manage a trophy hello, and some highly disturbed housewife says, I guess Tracy Plumbing will come quick. There's a corn cob stuck in the garbage disposal. You eventually convince Mrs. H. W. that you're not the plumbing company, that you got the wrong number. Well, does she prefer meat towards the apology? Oh, no. She slams down the receiver. She doesn't even give you the courtesy of telling her off. And incidentally, the only time I ever, in my whole experience, got a call from those radio survey companies was at dawn one Monday. After 5 minutes of insistent ringing, I rolled out of the beauty rest, groped my way to the phone, and I was greeted by a cheery voice that said, Are you listening to Sunrise Sam? However, most people on the telephone are the epitome of polite. This is when you call in for the correct time, even though you know it's a recording, you always say thank you. It feels kind of silly saying thanks to a recording, but nonetheless you say it. Actually, Professor Bell didn't dream that his invention would link together practically every ear in the world. Back in 1872, he was professor of vocal physiology at Boston University. He became employed by one Reginald Hubbard to instruct his daughter, a deaf mute, whom Bell later married. His first experiments were aimed at coming up with an electrical device which would improve the hearing of his young bride. But little did he realize when he said, Mr. Watson, come here, I want you, that in a very few years the entire agricultural population of the USA would be keeping tab on each other's goings, comings, shortcomings, recipes, engagements, births, ailments, in-laws, and so forth, by virtue of that most intimate of all gossip columns, the ever-loving party line. In the city, the party line is a hookup for the other party as actors in PTA or something and makes hundreds of calls a day. But out on the farm, up on the ranch, the party line is tantamount to having your ear pressed up to the keyhole of every door along RFD America. As a boy, I answered my share of those shorts and longs and some of those conversations. Another facet of Professor Bell's fabulous invention, which I certainly couldn't have foreseen, is the telephone booth. Small glass enclosed cubicle where you stand outside and wait for Mrs. Copper to get through yakking, and when she does, there's another 5-minute wait while she tries to get out. If she's a trifle outside, this can be quite an operation. I mean, that little folding door folds in. Some enterprising lads could install heat lamps in those booths and have them double up as turkey's bags. Another thing I understand is in the near future we'll be able to dial any number in most any distant city and we'll get a prompt connection. See, that's certainly a far cry from the first long-distance call which was made in 1876 from Cambridge to Boston, which is an astounding distance of 2 miles. I don't know if Professor Bell said, Mr. Watson, come here, I want you, but if he did, old Watson sure must have been in his starting blocks. In Hollywood, of course, the telephone ranks second in importance, I suppose, to air. You take the average agent who goes outside at the Brown Derby. First thing he orders is need a soup or salad. What he wants first is the phone. The maitre d' places the instrument on the table. The agent dials his office, hangs up, and a few seconds later his name is announced over the public address system, at which point he picks up the phone and talks to his office. This is known as name dropping, I guess. Name dropping your own name. But let's face it, Mr. Bell's little gadget has brought the people of our nation closer together than two young lovers in a new convertible. If I were to mention all the important roles handled by the telephone, you'd accuse me of trying to sell you stock in the AT&T. But isn't it a comforting thought when baby gets sick to know that you can ring for the doctor? Wasn't it wonderful around the holidays to talk to your loved ones across the miles? What a convenience, too, when your battery counts out. Call the auto club, especially if you belong to an auto club. Somebody knocks over the French fries and you've got a fire in the kitchen. What a blessing to be able to call the fire department. What time does the main teacher start? They just seem to dial the theater. Why is Junior late coming home from school? Simply dial the principal's office. Yes, sir. Thank you, Professor Alexander Graham Bell. Because of you, friends, families, and nations can keep in close touch by simply dialing O. And O is the nation's only word. Now, I'd like to hang a song out on the CBS party line, if you don't mind. Now, be sleeping. Now is the hour when we must say goodbye. You'll be safe far across the sea. While you're away, oh, then remember me. When you return, you'll find waiting A few years ago, a dear friend of mine, a crony of mine named Johnny Mercer, he wrote a little novelty ditty called You Got to Accentuate the Positive. It might have catchy little number, too, but it had a point to it also. So I understand that John thought that we ought to all pay more attention to the wholesome, constructive aspects of life on our little planet. And I couldn't agree with him more. He took the Girl Scouts. Every day of the year, these little gals in green keep busy as they learn to be more useful, happier Americans. The Girl Scout program helps over 2 million girls from 7 through 17 develop into resourceful, confident people. It also gives these girls a chance to serve your community in a variety of ways, from babysitting to visiting shut-ins. To carry out these projects, the Girl Scouts need adult program advisors and leaders. So latch on to the affirmative, won't you, the song says, and volunteer to serve today as your Girl Scout Council. Hope you can listen in again tomorrow night, same time, same place. And thank you very much.
This is Ken Carpenter saying goodnight to you all and reminding you that Bing Crosby can be heard Monday through Friday, transcribed from Hollywood.
The voice that launched a million quips. That's the voice you hear each weekday on most of the CBS radio stations when it's Arthur Godfrey time. Yes, conversations far from the lost art when the Dingo Redhead starts working with the wit and wisdom all America loves to hear. As for Godfrey's gang, they're as talented a crew of musical cohorts as you'll ever find in the month of Mondays. And remember, round out your week with Godfrey by listening to Talent Scouts on Mondays and Godfrey's Digest on Fridays at the Star's address. You're invited to Art Linkletter's house party every weekday on the CBS Radio Network. Stay tuned for the Innocent Andrew News.